Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kamikaze, and today I'll be giving you my predictions for every division. And from there, we'll be talking about the playoff picture, and eventually get into that Super Bowl and give you my thoughts and who is going to win that. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with the AFC West. AFC West, I got the Kansas City Chiefs, the undisputed champions. They're on that third championship run. Can they do it? Be the first ever to officially repeat it, because Lombardi did it, but he did it before the Super Bowl era. He, did a championship in that league. I forgot what the league was called, but probably just called AFC, to be honest. He did it in that league, 1-2 in the modern era. Well, not modern era, but in the Super Bowl era. So he basically did it first, but the Chiefs will be the first ever officially. But have them on top. They've been drafting well for the past couple of years, getting everything they need. I love their draft this year. But looking at the division, not really anything too competitive except for the Chargers. They just got to stay healthy, man. They've been a great team for the past couple of years. Just injuries and injuries and more injuries. Keep bugging them around or moving them out of the playoff picture. I had them winning last year in this division, but unfortunately injuries and then poor head coaching. But that's why they got Jim Harbaugh this year. I believe he'll do a better job than I don't even know who the other guy was, but that guy was pretty bad. But I think Jim Harbaugh will do a phenomenal job with this team. I do think they'll have an up and down season, but towards the end, I believe Jim Harbaugh will get this team going, and that's where you want, for your team to get going late in the season and getting that playoff push. Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, super young, Sean Payton. I don't think this is a year for them. I think next year or maybe the year after, Broncos will be a legit contender, but not this year. I think they're still too young, too raw, and just the early process of Sean Payton's project. Las Vegas Raiders, I just don't think they'll be a good team. If they would have drafted Byron Murphy out of Texas, pair him up with Wilkins and Crosby, I think they'll be a legit team, but they got Bowers, and I think they're basically just the same team, to be honest. So, yeah, Chiefs winning this division. Los Angeles Chargers, we'll see how they do, but I think they'll be a pretty competitive team in this season. AFC East, I don't know it's not like the most competitive league, but it's the most mysterious one, I guess, because there's a lot of question marks. Can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? Can Tua stay healthy? Can Hill stay healthy? Waddle, all those players, all those speed guys, can they stay healthy for the Dolphins? And Bills, how are Keon Coleman and those young guys going to do it with Josh Allen? Can they do it? Is the Bills defense going to be the same? They lost their best player again. I forget his name, but he's a dog. And they lost a lot of pieces on defense as well. The defensive line's still there, though. And the New England Patriots, they're just rebuilding. They're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league in all. So a lot of question marks, a lot of mystery for this division. To be honest, it's anybody's division. But I got the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers could stay healthy, they should win it. Their defense is legit, especially if they get Hassan Reddick in the locker room playing for them, practicing. They'll be a legit scary defense. Miami Dolphins, I just don't trust Tua. Love the speed on from every position. They got more speed on running back was Wright from Tennessee as well. Defensively, kind of questionable, to be honest. Losing Wilkins was the only person really keeping it there when they played against the Chiefs in the playoffs, to be honest. And now he's gone, so I don't know how they're going to look defensively. They still got Jalen Ramsey, but they lost Howard. I wonder where he went. I didn't see where he went. I think he might be still a free agent or something. Bills is all on Josh Allen, man. Can Josh Allen do it? And they have one of the hardest schedules in the league with a pretty young team. So, yeah, a little bit worried about that. But this division is basically in the air. Anyone could get it. The Jets got to stay healthy. Dolphins as well. And then can Josh Allen do it with the young guys? But I got the Jets taking it. All right, AFC South. I got the Houston Texans winning this division. Jaguars coming in second, Colts, and then Titans. We'll start with the Titans. Titans are a solid team. I think people are really underestimating them. Hopkins is obviously hurt, but I believe they've done a solid job of bringing guys in and drafting in the draft. Will Levis, they got him. You got him help on that left side. I think that left side of the offensive line, and then their center's pretty good too. I forgot his name, but they have a solid offensive line. They got Pollard. Like, you have guys on that team. I think it just comes down to the coaching staff. How is that coaching staff gonna be? We don't know how it looks because Vrabel was fired last year, so it's gonna be our first year seeing that coaching staff in action with this team. I do think they have a solid roster, but it's just gonna come down to that coaching staff, and then they got a tough conference. The Colts, solid roster again, but in my opinion, it comes down to Richardson. Can he stay healthy? If he can't, it's gonna be tough for them to make the playoffs or just to win games. The Jaguars didn't do anything too crazy in free agency or in the draft. In my opinion, they're kind of the same team as they were last year. But the thing that benefits them is if Doug Peterson's literally calling the plays. If he's not, the team's not going to do that great. But if Doug's calling the plays, they got a chance, and they'll make some noise over there in Jacksonville. This offseason, they brought in Davis, they drafted Thomas, and they brought in Armstead. Those are the three guys I do like, and I do believe they're going to have a great season in Jacksonville. It's just really who's calling the plays. If it's Doug Peterson, they're going to be a tough team to beat. But if it's the other guy, Taylor, I really don't have high expectations. If Houston Texans, I got them winning. I mean, to me, they've been showing or demonstrating how to build a legit franchise contending team. They've done everything great: drafting, trading, free agency, coaching staff. They just done it all. And I have them going deep into the playoffs. We'll talk about it later. But me personally, I'm hoping they do win a Super Bowl. I'm a Jaguars fan, but I'm really hoping that the Texans do win a Super Bowl. Either this year or next year. I don't really care when, as long as it's in this 3-year span. Just because I feel like they've done everything right as a franchise, man. They made the right trades. They got Hunter in free agency. They got Diggs. They've been drafting well for a long time, because you could go way back when they had only a 3rd-round pick. They drafted Mills. That's when the franchise really started. Bringing in other guys, bringing in Pierce, getting those guys late in the rounds, building their franchise. And I feel like they've been doing a phenomenal job, and they truly are demonstrating how to build a franchise-winning team. And I really do hope they win the Super Bowl, because it would just show everybody this is the blueprint. This is how you build a franchise. Our AFC North, tough division, one of the toughest in the league. Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. I got the Ravens winning it. It's really anybody's division, though. Ravens, play very well in the season with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has crazy stats as long as he stays healthy. The only concern for them is how's that offensive line going to be, and then how's that defense, because they're having a defensive coordinator change. So it's a big question mark right there. And then Cincinnati Bengals, it's the same thing every year. Can they keep Joe Burrow up? Can he stay healthy? Because once he goes down, the season's basically over. So if Joe Burrow's up, they have a chance to make it in the playoffs. They probably will make the playoffs, but Joe Burrow has to be healthy. And other people too, Jamar Chase, Higgins, a bunch of other key players on defense too. Cleveland Browns, one of the best rosters in all of football, in my opinion. Phenomenal on defense, but it all comes down to the quarterback position. How is Deshaun Watson going to be playing? Is he going to be a manager? If he's a manager, they'll win games, but can they win those big games? Or is he play like that superstar from Texas, Because if you can't get back to that Texans form, this team has a chance, has a chance of winning that big game. But we don't know. So that's why I got him at number 3, because we don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to play back in that Texas form. I don't think he will, but we'll see. Pittsburgh Steelers, I didn't like what I saw. A lot of offensive line struggles in that offensive play calling, very concerning. TJ Watt, obviously, he's a beast. That defense is scary as hell. One play stars. NFC North, this one's anybody's division. In my opinion, it really starts at week 11 through week 18 for every team in this division. Those games throughout those weeks are very important for every team. I believe this division is constantly going to be switching leaders. At one point, the Bears might even be leading this division. Then it will be the Lions holding it down, and then it'll be the Packers. Well, the Vikings, I don't think will be leading it. I think they're kind of just like the odd team out. Everybody else is like trying, like, consistently getting better throughout the years, and they're a team winning now, where Minnesota Vikings are that rebuilding phase, you know. So I think the Packers will take the division. I believe that because late in the season they have not easy teams, but lesser, like, rebuilding. They have rebuilding teams late in the season, so they'll be getting easier wins late in the season. Where the Detroit Lions, they play against very tough teams late in the season. That could be good and that could be bad, because it helps you get ready for that playoff run, because you're constantly playing against great teams. But it could hurt you because you could lose those games and possibly take you out to playoffs. Right here we have them getting out of the division leader. Chicago Bears. If Caleb Williams could play at the level of CJ Stroud did last year, this team could possibly take the division. And that sounds crazy, but that this roster is built well. The GM for the Bears, I believe he's the youngest GM in the league right now too, has done a phenomenal job. He's made phenomenal trades. He's selected phenomenal players. He's done a great job. This team is a good team, and is on the verge of being great. If Williams could be, what he's expected to be, the Bears could be a phenomenal team to be, or a tough team to be played against. So I have the Packers winning it, Lions barely losing the leading position, and then the Bears in third. Vikings rebuild the team, they're in last. Alright, moving on to a less competitive division, the NFC South. I mean, this one is probably the worst in the NFL. Atlanta Falcons, they made a lot of moves to make this Super Bowl dream come true. With all those moves, I have them taking the division. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, solid team, but I just think the Falcons have done way more. Very early in the season, these two teams will be playing, and at that time, we'll know who would take this division, for those wins and those losses that those teams will receive when they play against each other. And the Carolina Panthers and the Saints, I got the Saints in last because I just don't think they're a good team at all. And the Panthers, I love their not offensive coordinator, but the head coach. I think he's going to make Bryce Young into the quarterback that he was supposed to be. And hopefully this franchise turns around, because you don't want to see a franchise stuck in the dark for that long. Alright, NFC West, competitive division. It always is a competitive division. I got the Rams taking it this year, Niners in second, Seahawks in third, Cardinals in last. Niners, a lot of drama this offseason and training camp with contracts. What's his name? Ayuk and Williams not attending training camp. Williams got his contract done for a 3-year contract yesterday, and then Ayuk got it last year. He's one of the top 4, top 5 paid receivers in the league, and it's just really all or nothing for the Niners. It really is. You got so many contracts, so many fat contracts on that team. You got Warren, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Williams, Nick Bosa, and then you got Brock Purdy coming up. Are you going to give Brock Purdy a fat contract if you have a legit season again? Or are you going to give him a solid contract? Just try to keep this team together, you know, because you can't keep all of them if you give Purdy a fat contract like all the other quarterbacks. So it's a big question for the Niners. And is it worth giving Purdy that much money? Can he win you a Super Bowl? So yeah. The reason why I have him in second, though, is because I believe they will lose the early game against the Rams. That game is going to be the defining loss, or defining loss for the Niners, and causing them to lose this division. But for the Rams, I have them at 1, but they could very easily lose it, because if Matt Stafford goes down, it's literally just like the Bengals. If they lose Joe Burrow, the season's over. The Rams, if they lose Matt Stafford, the season's basically over. Puka Nacua, I don't see him recreating what he did his rookie year, but I still see him having a great season. And then defensively for the Rams, a lot of young guys. I think those young guys are very talented, and I think throughout the season they'll be getting better, and they'll be making noise. You know, a lot of rookies, a lot of second-year guys. I think they'll be making noise late in the season. The Seattle Seahawks, I feel like, are overlooked, but I have them barely missing the playoffs because of the quarterback position with Smith. He may be injured as well, or he might be just not playing up to par. You know, I think that defense is really, really great, especially with their new head coach from the Ravens. I believe he'll be making that defense play at a high level. Offensively, it just comes down to Smith, and I think Smith is just not going to get the job done. So I have them barely missing the playoffs once again, I believe. Going into the next season, I believe they'll be addressing that quarterback position in the upcoming draft class. And the Arizona Cardinals, I have them not having a great season, but having a solid season. This is a team that's rebuilding, and I do believe they'll have a lot of competitive games. NFC East, I got the Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. Giants, they just need to straight up fire their GM. Commanders, they got Daniels in this draft class. Solid quarterback. He can do it all. He's going to put up a lot of statistics, especially with Kingsbury. Can he stay healthy? And then that defense, I honestly don't even know anyone on that defense, so that's very concerning. And then Dallas Cowboys, I think they're going to have an up and down season. I think early in the season they're going to struggle. They're going to peak in the middle of the season, and then they're going to start falling apart late in the season. And then Philadelphia Eagles, if they don't have a great season, Sirianni is for sure going to get fired, but I don't even know if that would be satisfying for the Philly fans, because they had the best roster for 2 years in a row now. Last year they had the best roster, and this year they had the best roster. Last year a lot of people say they just fell off a cliff. In my opinion, the Eagles just couldn't get away with the shitty shit that they did early in the season, you know? Like, for me, week 1 Philly was the same as the last game Philly, you know? That's what I see when I watch them. And I watch a lot of Philly film, and it's not any of the players' faults. In my opinion, it's literally just Sirianni and Johnson. Johnson got fired, but Sirianni's still there. So can Sirianni let Kellen Moore cook, or is he going to try to get in there and run his little shitty RPO offense where he runs the same plays over and over and over again? So yeah, the Eagles have to have a good season. If they don't have a good season, Philly fans are going to be rioting. And that's really all I got to say. So now we got the NFC playoff picture. I got the Eagles at 1, Falcons at 2, Packers at 3, Rams at 4, Lions at 5, Niners at 6, and the Bears at 7. The Bears, I have them making the playoffs. I think a lot of other people have them making the playoffs. I think they're pretty favored to create a playoff berth this year. But I just don't think, I can't think of another team besides them, except for the Tampa Bay Bucks. But I think the Bears are just better overall. than the Bucks, you know. And then the Falcons, I could see them having the number 1 seed out of everybody in this, you know, this conference, just because they have a very favorable schedule. But for me, the Eagles are the best roster all of football, so I think they could beat the easy teams. Well, not the easy teams, but you know, the rebuilding teams and the difficult teams, the competitive teams. Then we got the Packers, Rams, Lions, Niners. The Niners and the Rams could be easily flopped. Same with the Lions and Packers. Both of them could all be easily flopped. So, yeah. Then we got the AFC playoff picture. I got the Chiefs, Ravens, Jets, Texans, Bengals, Browns, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, I had them barely missing the playoffs, but if Doug Peterson's calling plays, I do believe they will be making the playoffs. I had the Chargers there for a bit, but I got the Jaguars this time. Everything else I feel good about. Jets at 3 division winners. Yeah, nothing really much to say here. Alright, so here's the bracket. Chiefs at 1. We got the Bengals at 5. Houston at 4. That's a great game right there. Joe Burrow versus CJ Stroud. Joe Burrow's beaten Mahomes basically his whole career. He's only lost 1 game against Mahomes, and that game is very controversial. And then we got CJ Stroud, who's playing at a very, very high level, and that roster is just very, very good. New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, if he's still healthy, this is a very, very great game. Cleveland Browns, great defense, but Watson, can he beat Aaron Rodgers if Aaron Rodgers is there? Jacksonville Jaguars against the Baltimore Ravens. This is kind of like a little rivalry, to be honest. And then we got Philly was the bye. Detroit Lions versus the Rams, basically the same thing as last year, just in SoFi Stadium in LA. And then Packers versus the Niners, same thing as last year, just in the wild card round. It's a great game right there. And then Chicago and the Falcons in Atlanta, very great game right there as well. But we'll start off with the Jaguars versus the Ravens. I got the Jaguars beating the Ravens. I think Walker is just a very good counter to Lamar Jackson, and that defense is just built to beat the Ravens. I don't know why. I just feel like it is. And then Jets and Browns, tough game. Which quarterback's gonna make the least amount of mistakes? I put the Browns, but I'm gonna change it to the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is gonna win this game. Let's be real. If he's healthy, Aaron Rodgers is winning that game. Winning the game in New York City. New York City hasn't had a playoff game in New York for a long time, so it's a big stage for those players. And I think Aaron Rodgers would, deliver. And then we got Cincinnati versus the Texans. And in my opinion, I don't know who I'll be going for right here, man. It's a very tough game. I like both of those teams. Love Joe Burrow. Love the roster of the Houston Texans. It's very tough to pick, but I got the Houston Texans winning just because their overall roster. I think CJ Stroud beats the guy that beats Mahomes. All right, Chicago Bears versus the Atlanta Falcons. It's a pretty solid game, and I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears winning in Atlanta against the 2nd seed. The reason why I'm going with that is because the Chicago Bears, I feel like, have played against the tough teams. They played against those, very, very talented rosters, where the Atlanta Falcons had an easier schedule, which is very good because your roster is to be very, very connected and everything like that. And you'll be feeling good going into this playoff game. But once you get hit in the jaw by a team that's been there, done that, it's very hard to recover, and that is what happens in that game. Then is the Rams next, then the Packers, Niners. I got the Packers winning. Very tough game. The Packers should have won last year, and I have them winning again this year. But it's very tough because I believe the Niners usually beat the Packers. But last year was almost a difference changer, and I believe they could get it done this year if it comes to it. Detroit Lions versus the Rams. Tough game again. Probably be the best game out of this conference over here. I got Stafford beating Jared Goff in LA. Last year, the defense was hurt for the Rams. This year, I believe they'll be there. Stafford wants his revenge. He's gonna do it. I think the Rams beats the Detroit Lions in LA. Then Philly versus the Bears. Philly wins. Let's be real. This should be a pretty solid or pretty easy win for the Eagles. Chiefs versus Jaguars. Chiefs should win again. Not very easily, but they're in control the whole game for the majority of the time and win by like a field goal or a touchdown. And then New York Jets versus the Houston Texans. That is a very, very good game right there. Rosters are built very similarly, and it's very tough to go or to pick in this one. The Jets are the Houston Texans, because both of them are good defensively. They got their quarterbacks, they got receivers. Joe Mixon, Hall. I'm gonna go with the young quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Houston Texans beat the New York Jets in New York City, and that's a big game right there. And then the Rams versus the Packers in Lambeau Field. That's just a difficult game for the Rams, especially at this time of the year. Packers win against the Rams. So now we got the Eagles versus the Packers, Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. Very great games all around. You got C.J. Stroud versus Mahomes, Hurts versus Jordan Love. Love these games right here. And then Philly, I believe, will be able to run the ball against the Packers. This is played in Philadelphia. Will it be snowing? I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be pretty cold, but not as cold as it would be in Lambeau. But I think that Philly crowd really does help the Eagles beat the Packers right here. And the Chiefs versus Houston. C.J. Stroud versus Mahomes. Great roster the Houston Texans have, but so do the Chiefs. Andy Reid as their offensive coordinator, playing against Ryan and his defensive style. Very, very great game right here. I'm gonna go with the defending champs, Kansas City Chiefs. So we got a rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs from 2 years ago. A very controversial loss for the Eagles, and I love this game happening this year. A lot of bad blood and a lot of history on the line. Will the Eagles be on the bad side of the history, or will they defeat the Kansas City Chiefs, breaking their streak and just defeating Goliath? Like I said, a lot of bad blood from what happened 2 years ago. I think this is going to be a very, very physical game. And I think that's what the Philadelphia Eagles lacked the first time they played. Even though it was a very controversial ending, and obviously the grass and all that, like, other stuff. But, yeah. I think the Eagles are going to be way more physical. It's going to be a lot of shit talking. It's going to be violent, and I love it. I love it. I think this could be a great game. Kansas City Chiefs, will they be able to pull off the 3 in a row Super Bowls? Can they do it 2 times over the Eagles? The Eagles are gonna be like, that's gonna be going over the Eagles' mind the whole time in that locker room. Are we gonna be the team that's gonna be known for losing to the Chiefs 2 times in their 3 Super Bowl run? So it's gonna be a great game. I hope this really does happen, because the storylines in this will be truly unbelievable. The press conferences, the walkout, and then the game itself will be phenomenal to watch. So let me know in the comments who you have winning the divisions, who you have winning the Super Bowl, and let me know in the comments if you like what I did here or what I got, and let me know who you got. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope the season for your team, pans out for the good. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.